Administration is working to ban Chinese nationals and other adversaries from buying U.S. farmland. They say it's a national security issue. For more on this, we're joined live by NTD's Washington correspondent, Jack Bradley. Jack, break this down for us. What are the dangers of Chinese nationals owning U.S. farmland?
Right, Don. So, the main concern here is that the Chinese Communist Party is directing companies in China to purchase farmland to control the U.S. domestic food supply. Once they have that, they could shut it down. So today, Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins announced what's called the National Farm Security Action Plan. This is a series of actions aimed to safeguard America's food supply, including restricting farmland purchases to foreign adversaries, mainly China. They're also working to reclaim farmland already acquired by China. Rollins was joined by several cabinet officials, nearly a dozen governors, in announcing the move. Let's take a look.
And the first of the 7 is securing and protecting American farmland ownership, actively engaging at every level of government to take swift legislative and executive action to ban the purchase of American farmland by Chinese nationals and other foreign adversaries. Standing on the shoulders of great governors, 3 of whom are standing behind me, who have already been leading the way on this issue. And at the federal government level, working to do everything within our ability, including presidential authorities, to claw back what has already been purchased by China and other foreign adversaries. Additionally, working with the Treasury of the Secretary of the Treasury, along with our Defense Department, on memorandums to ensure that moving forward, there is a much more intentional look at who is buying what in this country and from where they are in the world.
So Trump administration officials say that it's part of the CCP's unrestricted warfare to acquire this farmland, which means going to war with the U.S. while not using bullets, but other means of acquiring U.S. agricultural supply. Another risk here is that even if it's just regular Chinese companies and citizens looking to purchase land in the U.S., the problem is that they're subject to the Chinese Communist Party's National Intelligence Law issued in 2017. That law requires all of its citizens to turn over data to the CCP, so they'd eventually be subject to directives by the Chinese regime. As you can imagine, the amount of pressure that they would have to operate while in China. Other officials emphasize that Chinese-owned companies control critical agriculture assets such as Smithfield Foods and hold land near U.S. military bases, posing national security risks. Let's watch that.
Food security, just like energy resilience, just like where we get our water, that's all national security, especially in a contingency. So we would be asleep at the wheel if we were not fully a party to an effort like this to ensure that our nation had the food supply it needs. But specifically, our troops have what they need on our bases so that in those moments, you can rely on us here in the United States to provide that security.
Right now, foreign entities own about 1/5 of the protein processing. Between beef and pork, JBS and Smithfield own about 1/5, maybe 1/4 of the protein processing in this entire country. That's just wrong. I think beyond that, it's the intellectual property theft. It's the Chinese scientists that are in our own universities and research that are stealing intellectual property. It wasn't too long ago they were taking rice seeds from my alma mater.
We are indeed in a new world where kinetic warfare is not the first choice of our rivals anymore. Rather, it is things like sending us seeds or trying to steal our seeds or trying to change the seeds. It is acquiring our supply chain in agriculture. It's setting up spy shops on land next to military bases.
Now, news of this move comes just after a month ago when 2 people working at the University of Michigan were from China. They're Chinese nationals, were caught smuggling in, allegedly, a bioweapon into the U.S. to harm U.S. agriculture. Secretary Rollins announcing today that she'll also be a member of the Committee on Foreign Investment, otherwise known as CFIUS. This is an interagency committee, and it's responsible for tracking, investigating foreign nationals' real estate and business purchases. Don?
So, Jack, this has been an issue for a while. Last year, the Biden administration by executive action stopped a large purchase of Chinese land, Chinese purchase near a U.S. military base. What is the main concern here?
That's right. President Biden issued an executive order last year stopping a majority-owned Chinese company called Mine One from buying 12 acres of land next to Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming. This base is home to nuclear-armed intercontinental ballistic missiles. So this was a rare move by the Biden administration. But right now, I want to pull up that graphic. Here we have, it was released today by the USDA. It shows Chinese farmland purchases near military bases. Those red blocks are actual military bases, and you can see on the chart the hundreds of thousands of acres owned by China and how close they are to these sensitive military sites. And by the way, that's just the Chinese-owned sites. This doesn't include other areas of concern, such as North Korea, Russia, Iran, and other adversaries in which they own U.S. land. Don?
All right, Jack, thank you very much. Earlier today, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu